You're hanging out with Stone Temple Pilots on Fan Pass. I'm hanging out right now with Chester Bennington, of course, right next to me.
Hello.
And Robert DeLeo, Dean DeLeo, and Eric Kretz. Guys, great to have you here. It's
All right,
cool
Matt.
Thanks,
to
man.
be
Nice to
hanging
be
with
with
you.
you.
And I love there's some really interesting things about the beginnings of both bands with Linkin Park, and of course now that you're playing with the guys, because there's two stories in particular. I remember when you drove up with the actual long box of cord to the radio station in the woods. Remember, the radio station.
HTG, man.
HTG on the Jersey Shore.
105.3, yeah.
Yeah, wasn't it cool when you drove up and were you in a pickup truck or something like that?
I was in a van because I was delivering things. I was on my delivery job,
Yeah, and it was great. And you had the core disc,
Yeah.
and you're like, man, I remember I was on the air. You came up and you said, hey, man, Matt, you remember me from the scene down here? He goes, I got a new band called Stone Temple Pilots. You think you want to play? I'm like, sure, come on in. Wasn't that cool? We came in.
And there was one room. He had to let me in.
Yeah. It was a small radio station, right? It was incredible.
Yeah, that was a long time ago.
Yeah.
It was incredible because we played, I think, Sex Type Thing in Wicked Garden. And I remember asking him, like, hey, is there something I can say? And you're like, well, our guy Brendan O'Brien, our producer, he engineered Blood Sugar Sex Magic. It was before the Rage and Pearl, those albums. And he was working out with those guys at that period.
He really did produce those records. Brendan did, y'all.
Yeah.
He really did.
You know he did. I mean, he's great that way. But that was a really cool time. And then about a year later, you came back, and Plush was the biggest record. If you remember, it was like, literally, it was like at every high school prom, everybody, you know what I'm talking about? It was huge. And you came back to the station that day, which was cool. But Chester, tell me, you've been a fan of these guys forever anyway. A huge fan of the band, right?
Yeah, I've been to a few shows.
Yeah.
I think it was over 20 by the time I started being on the other side of the barricade more than I was in the crowd.
Yeah.
But I always thought they were one of the best live bands, made great records.
Yeah.
I also like bands that like push themselves creatively with each new record,
Yeah.
Now I listen back to like Number 4 and even Shangri-La-Di-Da, which kind of had to take time to grow on me.
Yeah.
I mean, they're such good records. There's so many great songs.
Oh yeah, they're amazing.
So now being in the band and being able to sing all these songs that I love to sing, as a fan, it's really awesome.
It is cool.
Yeah.
It's amazing, and it works out great. It's just it's a great thing. It's very cool. Speaking of first, you remember that first show that you did? I think it was at Phoenix. It was a festival with Linkin Park, and it was
the Edge Fest.
It was the Edge Fest. I was hosting it.
Yeah.
And you guys, one step closer was growing at the time, climbing up the charts. And I remember the security was being like they were being dicks when you and your dad Lenny were trying to get up on stage.
Me
for
and
Incubus.
my dad's name is Lee. Everybody calls him Pops.
Yeah.
And he's famous in his own right. I mean, everywhere I go, just about anybody that we've toured with.
Yeah.
And has met my father always. First thing out of their mouth is, how's Pops doing?
Yeah.
But it was funny because
cool.
Orgy headlined that night.
Yeah.
We played with Ted PE.
Yeah.
And we were on it in the afternoon.
Yeah.
I remember Red Bull gave out coolers with 6 packs of Red Bull and a bottle of vodka.
Yeah.
And me and my dad, we went through all of it.
Yeah.
And so by the time Orgy was going on, of course, I'm good friends with Ryan and Amir, and at the time Bobby and Jay, obviously we were all touring together, and we recorded our records in the same place and became friends there. So it was fun to be on tour. And so we were trying to get up on stage with Orgy.
Yeah.
And of course the Yellow Jackets wouldn't let us back there.
Yeah.
And my dad was just he ended up pulling one of those, do you know who this guy is kind of thing? And nobody cared at the time. And he eventually had to pull his badge out because he was a retired cop at the time, and he had to pull his badge out because they were going to throw us out of the show.
Yeah, and remember what I said to you that night? I said, you know what? I go, F these guys. I go, you'll come back and headline in a year, and you'll kick them off the stage.
That's right.
Sure enough, a year later,
It's true.
It's unbelievable.
Yeah,
it was a good prediction.
That was
right?
a crazy year, man. Going from playing free shows with Union Underground to headlining arenas.
Yeah.
With a 30-minute long record.
Yeah.
it's pretty crazy.
Which is cool. It's great though. Great.
But you've always been a huge supporter of the band, and your enthusiasm. I know Mike always says this, but Matt Pinfield is the most enthusiastic fan of music that you'll ever find on earth. And it's always
not to mention
so much
music
fun.
historian too.
Yeah,
I mean,
exactly.
I can never stump you.
Yeah,
It's always so much fun to talk to you and do interviews with you because you remember everything.
Yeah.
And you passionately know, and you know this stuff because you either lived it or like you're just so passionate about the bands. Yeah, it's great.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I really do, Chester. Thank you, man. And you know, we have to tell this great story. So I remember on your birthday one year, Dean, we went to dinner. Remember, Robert?
Yeah.
We went out to dinner. You were like, we were in town, and we had dinner at, I think, the Ivy, and it was with Judd Apatow, right?
Okay.
Judd Apatow was there. You know, who everybody knows from the
Many
40-year
movies.
versions, Superbad, all those great movies. He's incredible. And how were you guys friends with him to begin with? Did you guys know him? Because he was from Long
I've
Island.
known Judd for a while.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we had dinner that night. We had a good time. We were hanging out. And you remember Chris Farley came up to the table.
Yeah.
That's right.
And it was like the last time we saw him alive.
Yeah.
He died within like a week.
That's right.
It was really crazy. That was sad. But the rest of the night was fun.
It was a ghostly night.
Oh yeah, well I want you to help me tell. I want you to tell a story, Dean.
All right.
Because the thing was, you look at me, you're like, Matt, don't go back to your hotel room tonight. Fucking just stay at my house, which was very cool. So I ended up because you know what, you'll give me something to sleep in. So I just came over. I remember we sat on the patio, and then we were
I
like,
had pajamas for two.
yeah, it was cool. It worked out. And I loved your guitar collection. It was going up the stairs too, which was super cool. But I remember we were going to go out in the garage and jam and just play. So let's tell that story because it's incredible.
Well, we were just hanging out in the garage. It was a 3-car garage, and I one of the single part of it was kind of like I had set up as like a fort.
Yeah.
It was like some music out there. and
Couches,
stuff hanging out.
rugs, lamps. It looked really cool.
And there was just some guitars. It was a nice place to write. And
Yeah.
you had a nice view out the window. And
Yeah.
I had that corner piece of furniture that was there
It
since
had
I lived
all
there.
old demos and stuff in it.
Yeah, and I had all demos, and we were kind of digging into stuff, and we were kneeling down in front of this thing, and we were talking about Mark Bolan.
Yeah, from T-Rex.
We were talking about Mark
Who,
Bolan,
you know,
and we're in
first
this really deep conversation, and all of a sudden, this piece of furniture just slowly tips over on us.
Yeah, it was the most bizarre thing.
And all these cassettes and CDs falling all over us. We're like,
what? And then so we think that's nothing. So you start playing the slider, and I'm singing it with you, and we're hanging out, and all of a sudden you're playing the slider on guitar. I'm doing the vocal, and tell them the next thing that happens because it blew my
something
mind.
happened with the car,
Well,
right?
the door
trunk
first. Remember
came
the
up,
door?
or the...
Remember the garage door was shaking. It was going j-j-j, j-j-j, j-j-j. Remember that?
Yes.
And you and I were like, what is going on here? And then it sounds like someone's reaching into the glove compartment, and the
trunk
the
came
trunk
up,
just
right?
pops open. We're like, the ghost of T-Rex, man. Mark Bolan. That was the craziest thing.
He was pissed you guys weren't jamming with him.
Yeah, that was some crazy stuff. I remember you and I just looking at each other and going, maybe we should go in and watch Chesto. Dancing Outlaw.
The Dancing Outlaw.
We did.
Okay. That was so cool, man. It was so much fun. That was
Sorry, Mark. We love you.
Yeah, we
Mark.
did.
Yeah.
You know, I think he was feeling the spirits coming through.
Something,
Yeah,
man.
It was kind of crazy that
We
night.
were welcoming him. You know.
Yeah, we were seriously were. It was cool.
Just having fun with
It's
us.
great. Eric, you still have your studio too. You're doing right.
No, actually, I sold that.
You sold the studio, yeah.
Yeah, got rid of that about a year ago. So
Yeah.
That was a great studio.
That was a great studio.
I went there and recorded some stuff with my buddy Church.
Yeah.
And I was with him while he was recording some of his Hellflower stuff.
that's right.
And we popped over there and hung out for a little bit. It was a really cool spot.
Yeah.
Right in the middle of LA.
Massive, yeah.
Yeah.
And downtown now is just really starting to blow up too. So it's
really cool.
the landscape's
amazing.
changed.
That's cool.
It's no more for the bohemian artist anymore. It's for the very wealthy now.
Yeah, I get it. You guys know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
You know what's amazing? The one thing I love about all you guys playing together, and the fact that you're playing with the guys in the house, everybody writes. That's the one thing that's so cool about you guys. Like, you know, you wrote Tripping in a Hole of Paper Heart. You guys, which Eric, you know, like people are like, the drummer wrote that song. I'm like, yes, dude. You know what I mean? So, and you guys, you know how many millions of great songs you guys have written over the years. It's incredible. It's been great to be a part of all the years moving through it with you as we've done.
Yeah.
Because I think we did we did the Tiny Music album special together, the number 4
that's
album
right.
special. We did a bunch.
We've been waiting
Yeah.
for the next one. You better bring
Yeah.
one for us, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right there.
Yeah.
That's right.
We'll have
Yeah.
to keep the tradition going on the next record.
When the next one comes out, we'll do the album special together. We'll have some fun with that one. It'll be
For
cool.
sure, yeah.
What do you guys remember? I mean, about Point Pleasant. We growing up in Point Pleasant Beach. What do you remember about those real early years?
Everything.
Yeah. Okay.
Everything. I just contacted some people that I haven't talked to since grade school.
Yeah.
On the way, you know, I gotta tell you, I have a friend named Jim Beatty, and he was the kind of guy that you'd get really stoned with, and he'd be like, "Man, I got to be home by midnight," and it would be 12:15 at night, and he'd be like, "What time is it, man?" and we'd be like, "Man, it's 10 o'clock, man. You're cool." And he's like, "My parents." So I called him yesterday, and I said,
For the first time in how many years?
"Can I speak to Jim, please?" And he goes, "Yeah, this is him." And I go, "I just want to tell you left your bong in my garage on Curtis Ave, where we used to play Fog Hat Live on 8-track."
Yeah. Oh yeah.
So he was like,
he was
like, "No way, no way." It was just so cool.
That was great. You surprised them then. That's great.
Yeah, really surprised.
That's
him.
very cool.
Yeah.
And how about you, Dina? You know about all this
Yeah, like
stuff.
Robert said, everything. That Jersey Shore really resonates with me, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, very much
Myself,
so.
too.
You know what I got to say too is that their family took a lot of photos. So, and Robert's been archiving all of them. So now I've been hearing all these stories over the years, but now I get to actually see these photos.
All right, I want to see those
Yeah.
I
photos.
just ran into a
Yeah,
friend
pretty
last
good.
night that I haven't seen in my goodness, 30 years.
Yeah.
Somebody's got their cell phone on,
Yeah.
my goodness.
Yeah.
I haven't seen in 30 years,
Yeah.
right? And he hands me this photo from 1973.
Yeah.
I was 12 years old, and I was like, up, like fully vertical or on a Stingray,
Yeah.
with like crossing it up and,
Yeah.
doing stuff,
I tell you what, these guys have so many great photos of them when they were young.
Yeah.
Every one of them would make a great album
Yeah.
cover.
Yeah.
I mean, dude,
you gotta find one there.
I'm telling you, man, it's like, it's been really fun to kind of, get a bird's eye view of their life, 'cause
Yeah.
Robert's been archiving all these really great old family photos, and there's not,
Yeah.
I mean, they have, you guys have some stellar
Yeah.
photos
I want to
in
see
there.
some of that
Man,
stuff.
Oh,
you know
man,
what?
yeah.
Our aunt and uncle came to the gig last night, and
Yeah.
Robert has a photo of our grandfather, so my uncle's dad,
Yeah.
in 1928, sitting on the back bumper of his automobile. I don't know what kind of car it is, man. Do you know?
No, I don't.
It's 1928, and he's holding my mom and the second to oldest son.
Yeah.
My mom and Uncle Bill. And
Yeah.
1928, man.
That is
Like,
wild.
So cool.
Yeah.
A special thing happened a couple of years ago. That this house that we grew up in New Jersey, I kind of attribute all the songs. It kind of came to me that all these songs that I've written kind of trace back to these two stained glass windows that we had in the living room of this house, and just the glow of the sun setting through these windows was really an inspiration. It didn't hit me till later on that's
You realize
really
that was
what
a
it
big
was.
part of where some of the songs came.
Well, it turns out that the people that bought this house we grew up in, they remodeled it and they tore a bunch of stuff out. And Dean and I we were back there. The last show we were doing was at the PNC,
Yeah.
which is the Garden State Arts Center.
Yeah.
After the show, it was the last show of the tour. We rented cars and we went down to the shore. And I happened to hook up with this guy that we were staying at his bed and breakfast.
Yeah.
And he said, "Hey, when's the last time you were over at the house?" He bought our house. And
Yeah.
he said, "When's the last time you were over there?" I said, "We haven't been over there in 30 years, 35 years." He said, "Well, go over. I got something in the garage for you. Feel free to walk around." Dee and I went over there and went into the garage, which was a total trip because we hadn't been there in 35 years. It was like, wow, whoa.
Yeah.
And we went in the garage, and he gave us those stained glass windows.
Really?
That
That
is
is
so
awesome.
cool.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
incredible.
So this all happened
Isn't
by...
that great to have all that? I mean, that's
Yeah.
so cool.
Yeah,
It's a good,
so-
really.
Well, it was
good-
really,
That's really
really
cool,
cute because
man.
I think were you about 9? Are you 8 or 9?
I was about 7 years old, and I was on the front lawn going... And I threw a baseball through one of them, and 3 pieces were replaced. So
Yeah.
it
And
there
was
were-
like,
Yeah.
there's the window that I threw a baseball through in 1972.
Yeah, which
You
is
know what I mean?
amazing. Yeah.
It was great.
That is
so
that's so cool.
really inspiring.
That was
great,
really good
guys.
what you said. You were like, well, I guess that one will be mine.
Yeah.
Yeah, I did say
Give the
that.
other one to him, right?
Yeah.
Did you guys put them on your own houses now, or are you just holding on to them?
We're holding on to
Yeah,
them
it's very
right now,
cool.
Yeah, but just
And it's
great
great,
to have
man.
that inspiration back in my
That
life.
is really cool.
It's amazing. It's a great special place. A lot of
It
memories,
is,
right?
man.
Yeah, really great memories.
It's incredible stuff, guys. I'm really excited that you're doing the gig. You're playing and you guys are doing your thing together, and love the EP. And you
Thanks,
guys
Matt.
think there's
Thanks,
an
man.
album in the works too at some point?
Yeah.
You guys think-
Yeah, you know, I mean, we've been talking a lot about getting back in the studio, especially in the last couple of weeks.
Yeah.
You know, we're moving forward already. We're kind of like, now we want more new music.
Yeah.
So, you know, I'll be finishing up the record with Linkin Park, and we'll be touring next year. And so I think we're going to be spending a lot of time really focusing on creatively what direction we want to go in, and the vibe of the music that we want to make, and we're going to start plugging away at some new music.
Yeah, it sounds great.
Yeah.
I look forward to it, guys.
Can't wait.
When we approach the end of a tour, I become very possessive over Chester because he has this other thing.
Yeah.
And I become very possessive and very clingy to where I'm like just a pest. And he's just dude.
Yeah. That's amazing. That's great.
Yeah, it's been really great, man. I have to, and you know, I'm extremely thankful for how cool everybody in LP's been too.
Yeah.
You know,
Like,
super supportive.
Beyond.
Yeah.
I mean, I've read some things that guys have said in interviews. It's just they're so nice, and you know, it's really great to be around so many super creative people. You know, like you were saying, like both bands have a long history of writing great songs.
Yes.
You know, and for me as a vocalist, you know, I write music too, but you know, my job is to come up with melodies and lyrics and stuff, and it's such a pleasure to be around so many people that are such good songwriters, and everybody does their own thing, has their own style and their own way of approaching songs, and it really makes my job easy. But dude, I'm like you. Sometimes I sit back and I'm just going, I have the best seat in the house, like every night, you know, on stage and in the studio. I get to watch some of the most brilliant songwriters and players do their thing.
It's special, man.
It's really, really special, and you know, we've been talking a lot too. But just like yesterday, you know, we had to get up at like 4:00 in the morning, 4:30 in the morning, to leave Dallas to drive to Austin to fly from there because we were kind of like iced in, basically.
Was
in
that
Dallas.
yesterday?
It was yesterday. And by the time we got to the venue, we were just kind of like, you know, and we were all kind of like feeling that feeling you get when you've had a long travel day.
Yeah.
And then we get to the venue, and it's like, dude, this is why we got up so early. This is why, you know, we're all you know, kind of getting started at the point where we're starting to complain. And it's like, we realize we have nothing to complain about because this is what we get to do for a living. I mean, we get to show up and play music, and it's a blessing. You know?
It really is.
Yeah.
I feel blessed to be around it and to be.
It's such a cool thing.
We're taking donations of toothbrushes, underwear, and T-shirts. Our crew does not have their bags yet.
So those people watching,
stuck.
you can get them over.
That's right.
Over your fans there. That's great, guys. I want to thank you for doing this today.
Yeah,
thanks for
you.
coming by and
Thanks,
hanging
Matt.
out with me. Love
Thank
seeing you. Always do. And I know your fans are enjoying it too right now on Fan Pass. Cool, guys. That was great. It was good.